Hi everybody and welcome. My name is Reynaldo and you're watching a video of from Reynamations, which is obviously me in this case. But you guys could call me Ray, Reynaldo, or just Reynamations, either one. And it doesn't matter to me as long as you guys, are talking. Anyways, we'll be getting started by drawing something today, and I hope the audio is coming well because I just got a new mic setup, and obviously the lighting is nice, just so you guys out there can see me properly in every single direction. So let's get started. I don't know what you guys like to do, but when I draw, I like to do it in my digital drawing tablet, and it's an XP pen. 15-inch is an older version, not the newer one, and it is pretty good. Uh, Sorry for the creaky noises. I changed up my share for the meantime, and oh wow. For you guys can't tell, but right now my mouse is like slightly up from where I'm supposed to be, so I'm gonna do some minor calibration. It should be a little bit more accurate to where I'm clicking. Perfect. Now, some people say when you're doing some calibration like that you should click actually below the dot or slightly above, so when you're drawing you can always see the cursor. I mean, it's recommended, and I personally like the idea of doing that because whenever you're drawing something, the last thing you want is for your cursor to be in the way. No, for your hand to be in the way of your cursor, and then then your drawing doesn't come out as good as it could have been. Anyways, let's get started by drawing. Open up Blender Grease Pencil. Just looking at the camera, I could tell that you guys can't really tell what I'm drawing. So that's not a good sign because I want you guys to be able to see what I'm drawing. So I'm going to bring up the radius. Now, there's two ways to bring up the radius. You can always go to the radius tab right here and do it. You can you can right click and then do that also. Or you can press F and then just adjust it like that. I'm gonna bring it up enough that it's like boom. Now it's like double the radius, and now you guys can kind of see what I'm drawing. And now I'm gonna press X because I don't want anything in this frame for the meantime. So I was thinking we can do some form of animation / drawing, but because we're gonna be using Blender Grease Pencil, it won't come out as good as it would in other applications. Not saying that Grease Pencil doesn't have the potential to come out really good, because it does. I've done actual animations in it, and you could check out this channel and you will see the detailed animations that you could potentially pull off in Grease Pencil. It doesn't mean that it's just limited to that, but it's all within the amount of work and effort that you put into it. The more work that you put into it, the more time it's gonna take, and the more it's gonna the better it's gonna look. Anyways, to get started, I'm gonna bring some things over. I'm gonna bring this thing, this little tab over, and it's gonna have a couple things. One is gonna be the hair, some outfits, and then the pose. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is so you guys can kind of see slightly how we'll go about doing this kind of workflow. First things first, let me do the pose. So first, let me go back one frame, click back onto this, go onto the pose, make sure that I get that pose across. Seems like her body's kind of like tilting like this. Line of action right there, and then her leg is more like straight down, but then this one is more like that, and then that. She seems to have a skirt, but because of the outfits that we're gonna be going for, most of them don't tend to have a skirt. So I'm gonna do like a mix between this outfit and this outfit. They don't look fully the same, but they kind of look similar. And it's just and it's just the tops. So the bottom part, I could go with like a skirt, or I'm gonna do something different. Maybe I'll do like some armor. So first things first, let's figure out the pose. Uh, whenever you're doing an animation or anything, you kind of gotta figure out the posing and the way that the body's moving. So seems like her shoulder's really high up and her face is kind of like right here. Not too much. I'll do slightly anime-ish, but you probably can't even tell what I'm doing right now, but maybe you can. I don't know. That's the body. Breast will be somewhere here. So if you see it connected like that, and erase some of this, so then it kind of does like this sort of connection. And this part will be like that, and then this part will be kind of like this, and then up. This shoulder, I feel like it should be higher because of the way that she has it. And then now you may be wondering, wow, that's kind of dark the way that you're going about doing it. And yeah, I mean, it's gonna be dark. Face is kind of like this, which is kind of looking slightly down, so it'll be kind of like that. I'll probably edit this a little bit more later, or whenever I'm doing the more detailed version of her. Alright. I'm gonna erase a little bit of all of this, right? And just to like indicate where her fingers are at, but not fully. And then this arm is outwards, but it's above everything. So it's kind of like out in there, and then something like that. Or not. It's more like her hand. All her hand is right here. So her entire hand is that right there. So that means that if her shoulder's right here, this is where her other, her elbow will be kind of at midway through. And then this part will be like that. And like that. Not fully like that, more like this and then down. And then this part, I want to leave more spacing, so it'll be kind of like this. Oh yeah, that looks a lot better. And then this leg, this will be where the butt cheek will be at. So you gotta like pay attention to all that kind of stuff. The post, the butt cheeks, the legs, how big spacing is. Right now, I'm still drawing in grease pencil, just letting you guys know, because like most people will look at this picture and go like, that couldn't have been done in like Blender, because it's too detailed, or it's like it looks kind of like a regular sketching software or something. But no, this is actually Blender. You know that same Blender 3D you probably started working with when you were young in high school or in middle school, or you're just starting to work with it now, and then it has potential, essentially. Like that's one of the reasons why I've always liked it. I never actually like faded away from it. All right. I feel like she's like slightly tilting to the front, but I think it's because her body is angled in that kind of way. But then this part, I feel like it should be more outwards. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press tab and then go into sculpt mode. And as you could tell, that is too small to do any major changes. So I'm gonna do this. and then bring that back. Maybe bring the belly back, and then bring this forward. Maybe bring that up a little. And just like that, I already got like a more dynamic pose. Not too much. Keep the butt looking like she has something, because she obviously does. And then go back onto draw mode, and now this is where we go into like the slightly more detailed phase of the drawing. Let me go into like the face cam. So this is where we go into the slightly more detailed phase of this drawing, where we actually go on and add the facial features, and I will go about adding the armor. And at this point, the point is I'm like not even focusing on the pose anymore. So if you look at this pose right here, this not gonna be used anymore, so I can literally just delete it. But I'm gonna keep it just in case I see features in it that I like. I'm gonna stay in the same frame. I'm gonna go at one frame, 1 to 1, because it's just gonna be one picture. I don't need all of this to be the way it is. And I go on this and then press no. Full canvas, so you guys can kind of see the full canvas, and the other things are not too distracting. And then I go onto soft pencil, and then click in this corner right here, and it gives me all my pen options. I'm gonna click in this one, and I also want to turn down the opacity of the layer. And to do that, I'll have to go onto the sketch, and then bring down the opacity. At this point, I kind of just like decided to time lapse it. So, sorry for like any confusion to any of you guys that were watching it and were like, "Whoa, it just sped up out of nowhere." Yeah, I decided to time lapse it because the sketching and the coloring was like pretty much took me another 2 hours, and I don't want you guys sitting down watching this video for 2 hours. I know I wouldn't watch a video that took an extra 2 hours long, so I decided to speed it up for you guys, 5 times the speed of what it was originally, maybe even more. I think I'll bring it up actually at this point to probably like 7 times the speed. Uh, so this whole entire video doesn't last very long. Anyway, so yeah, at this point, I'm just doing the line work. I'm using the regular ink pen that like Blender comes with. I just do like some minor adjustments to it. You can do this yourself too. Blender grease pencil, most of the time whenever you're drawing things like this, it's not necessarily that you have to have a lot of skill. It's just that you have to have a lot of practice. The more you practice, the better you get. I remember, I know that in my girlfriend's family, her great grandfather, for example, he got offered to work with Disney at one point, and from my understanding, and it's because he was a really good artist. And most of the animators out there that I've heard about tend to be like really good artists, and that's why they get offered to work with Disney. Let me move my mic a little bit further away. Sorry for any noises extra. So yeah, at this point, I'm just like doing all the drawing. My proportions are not very accurate. I should have used references for the fingers. I do decrease the breast size because I felt like they were just like too big and then too far out. I don't know why. But yeah, I decreased it to make them feel like a little bit more natural. I felt like they were just like way too big, and I'm not one of those persons that likes to make things adamant nowhere, just like unrealistically sized. So yeah. By the way, guys, if you guys have like a drink, or if you're joining me while doing your own drawing, thank you for doing that. I do appreciate any support or any views that come your way. Or if you do consider subscribing to this channel, that will be a great help for me. For me, this sake, at this point, I realized that I needed the collar for the neck, because I was actually gonna do the neck, and then realized that the proportions was like slightly off, but the collar kind of like fixed it up, because like if you look at it now, it doesn't look like the neck is out of place. Here I was just focusing on like very simple designs. Here I'm using the scissor tool, or the snip tool, which there's different softwares that use similar tools like this, where you can use it for if you draw like way too far a line, you use this to like fix up those details, and it comes in handy if you're trying to animate. I don't use it much when I'm animating. I just used it this time, but I thought it was very it was very useful essentially. And I do recommend using Blender in the long run for any of you guys that are just starting out and wanting to learn how to animate or do other things. I hope my audio is not coming out too loud. I know it shows up here like if it's gonna come out really loud, but beside the point. So yeah, at this point I'm just fixing up some proportions, seeing things that feel off, like this. The arm right there felt like it was like just too big, or it was too far out. To be honest, it could have been perfectly fine, but it just felt weird. And then I adjusted the ears because I wanted her to look a little bit different. And here, as you can see, I'm using the hair reference. Always use your references, guys. Make sure you have lots and lots of references for whenever you do things. So the best things that came out from this drawing were actually the things I used reference for. So I used a reference to see how they do all the shapes and coloring for the hair. So that when I did the coloring for this hair, it came out really nice. Even though it's not as detailed as the other thing, And here I felt like the breast needed to be bigger, but I kind of just settled on like having them higher, not necessarily bigger, and that kind of like made it look a little bit more natural, because she looks like she has her head her chest puffed up, so it's only natural that with the chest puffed up, the breast will be puffed up also. So yeah, all this is going on. I'm doing some color picking. I actually added a color palette around this time, if you may have noticed. And it's very useful. You always want to have a color palette whenever you do an artwork, or even if you're doing like an animation, because especially for an animation actually, because if you have no color palette and you just color picking back and forth, what's gonna happen is you're not gonna have all your colors be very accurate. So it's always very important whenever you're doing coloring and shading and all that to have a color palette picked out, so then you know what to do. And you may have also noticed that I actually decided to color over the hand and everything, but that's because Blender and even other drawing softwares, whenever you're doing your own coloring, you tend to it's only natural that you color over a whole entire section. Unless you're doing this traditionally, then I wouldn't recommend painting over the arm with blue. But in this case, now I'm picking out the color for the skin. Soon I'll be picking out the color for the hair. What's it called? The hair? Yeah, I was gonna say hair. It's interesting because I just thought to myself, I might have this video be slightly faster, but the way that I'm narrating is actually, it'll be a lot behind if I do this a little bit faster. So I'll probably just keep it at this speed, which is like 5 times the amount, 5 times faster than what it was. Anyways, so yeah, we're going on to coloring, some detailing, some more color picking. Right now I'm just like trying to pick more natural skin tones for the face, maybe some blush, maybe some highlights, that sort of thing. Also, while I'm doing the face, I'm also trying to decide where the light is coming from, and I decided that the light should be coming from where my camera is, like where you see my face is at, moving back and forth right now, from that sort of angle, and then it's just gonna shine down on her. And you see, and now if you look at the color for the hair, I'm doing all the hair coloring and everything like that, kind of like in the style that you kind of see on the reference, but not fully. This is still using Blender grease pencil, so whenever you see the final product, you kind of will get a good idea how I went about doing it. Some minor details. The coloring of the hand later on, that was a pain in the butt because I couldn't see it. I could have just erased the like hid the colors, but this another advice. Whenever you're doing coloring, it's most oftenly known that whenever you're doing like just an artwork, most oftenly people do the color for the outfits and shade for the outfits in different layers. For me, I just decided to put it on one layer, all the shade, all the coloring and everything. So this actually ended up being a pain in the butt because all the effects I wanted to do with the lighting, I had to do it with that sort of approach, where I will have to mainly just like go over everything. And if I was doing this with a different software like Krita, I'll be able to like blend in those shades a little bit more. But you know that's a little bit too much. Right here, I have slight amount of light, rim light hitting her from another angle, as you can tell, kind of just to make her pop out from her background. And here is some more detail to the outfit, because I felt like her outfit just needed just that little bit of more detail. Make it pop out. Now this is one of the problems that I faced. I felt like her eyes needed to be colored, and also that her outfit needed some shading. So I just like grabbed one color, and I kind of got lazy, and instead of doing like proper shading where it would like change in tones depending on what color it lays over, I just went like, screw it, I'm just gonna do like a dark color and then that's it. And so far that's kind of what you see. Then you see like the little highlights on the thing. I zoomed out because it's always good to zoom out whenever you're doing art. If you stay very close to your artwork all the time, you're gonna miss out on a lot of the big picture. And then it was also around this time that I realized I didn't have eyebrows for the character. So I probably added some eyebrows right there. There you go, you see? So I realized that the character didn't have any eyebrows, so I added some eyebrows and even added like a little shape in the back to like give it the idea of potentially having another ear right over there. Of course, not very noticeable, so. And then I decided to add more of her tattoos, because why not? And I kind of like the idea of the character having tattoos. It's not something I do very often, so I decided to do it this time around and see how it looks. And I personally liked it. I like the color scheme that I chose, those purples and blues. Here I went like, okay, I'd usually do like this coloring for the eyes, so maybe her eyes could be kind of like the same colors as the tattoos. Why not do that? And I kind of liked it, but it was like, I felt like the original sketch where the eyes were just dark felt natural and it felt nice, but this felt like much more slightly alive. If you catch my drift. Either way, so I'm just doing the coloring. I'm doing some basic, you know, blocking of the coloring. If you notice, I continuously change layers, and I also change what's it called, brushes. When I'm changing brushes, it's because I'm changing it to the brush that allows me to paint. It's kind of like if you had the paint bucket tool. It's kind of like that, but it's like more controllable because it's just like I just do an outline over the thing that I want to shade, and then that's what what ends up filling and getting filled. Here I'm adding some like side blush. I still have the same line thing, so it felt kind of weird. And then here I was trying to do like some sort of effect where it will like the opacity was like slightly lower, so it gives it like this natural blush. And it wasn't coming out until I decided to add another layer, and then that layer I think I called blush. Yep, blush. And then I added some pinks, and then I did that. And here I kind of just got bored and decided to just, you know what, this feels like it's too stiff. Let me add some background. And it looked nice, except like the lighting was off. And then here I added some clouds, because why not? But it's just, this is just for me to visualize what I want. And then afterwards I was like, oh, I like how the cloud looks, but I don't like how the ground looks. I mean, I could have taken that ground and then pulled it forward, and it would have done a good trick. But I decided to just get rid of it. Here I used the erase tool and then had it to set to be something else. And here I decided, you know what? Let me make it into an animation. So I did just that. I did 2 frames, and then I interpolated it. Really simple. If you don't know how to interpolate an animation, you just have to draw the same amount of strokes, and depending on how you do it, you could just press Control, Shift, and E. So Control Shift E, and then you have that happening. Right there, I did this effect where I selected all the layers that I was that got animated or got interpolated from beginning to end, and then I did like the selecting of all the being able to adjust all the layers. I'll show you guys how to do that if you guys request it in another video. So and here I'm just trying to figure out the ground, make sure it looks nice, and it looked okay. I think the first ground that I had looked a lot better. Anyways, this is pretty much like almost finalized. I'm gonna skip a little bit forward, like a lot forward, because this part is just like me doing just messing around, and then I'm just gonna end it with you guys here. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, consider subscribing or leaving a like, and check out those videos if you enjoyed and stood until the end. Thank you and goodbye.